Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Top 10 Songs. Today, we're going to tackle an artist, a singer, a red-hot guitar player from Canada that I have loved for decades and decades. And obviously, he has a lot of fans out there, too, because he's been asked for quite a lot recently and in previous months. Of course, we're talking about Pat Travers and the Pat Travers Band. So many great songs, a lot of great albums, that like classic live album, Go For What You Know, man. I mean, just what a player, whether he's in the band, just him as the guitar player, whether he's got Pat Thrall next to him, whether he's got Tommy Aldridge or Nico McBrain or Sandy Gennaro on drums, doesn't matter. It's all quality stuff. So today we're going to look at my 10 favorite tracks from across a good chunk of Pat's career. I'm not going to die. He's got so many albums, and I don't have very many of those kind of 90s and early 2000s albums. I have some of the more recent ones. So the majority, most of what I'm going to pick is probably from the 70s and the early 80s. Okay, but that's not to say he doesn't have a lot of really strong material throughout the latter part of his career. All right, there's even that couple really good albums he did with Carmine Apiece, right? The more recent albums that he did for Frontiers Records, I believe it was. Some strong stuff on there, but my top 10 is going to come from those classic Pat Travers albums. But I urge anybody to go and investigate some of the blues albums he did in the 90s are very strong. Like I said, the albums with Carmine and the last couple have been pretty strong as well. So let's start with number 10. I'm going to pull a mulligan again today. I know I've done this a couple times in recent weeks, but there was just, I put my top 10 together, and then there was another track that I was just like, oh my God, there's no way I can leave this off of my top 10 list. All right? It's just too good to be relegated to honorable mentions. So I have a tie for number 10. All right? First of all, we got New Age Music from Radioactive, which I absolutely love. That's kind of an interesting album because it's kind of like, I think Crash and Burn and Radioactive were kind of transition albums as he moved into the 80s, right? And those albums are less of like the kind of blues rock stuff that he did in the 70s and more, obviously 80s sounding. He's got some little reggae influences, some kind of electronic stuff coming in to play. But I think that New Age Music tune is really cool because it's bright, it's fresh sounding, it's got some searing guitar work in it, okay? And no, it's not the bossa nova, right? And I love the lyrics, and I love his vocals in it, whoa, no, it ain't, blah, 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 right? It's just a really, really cool tune, I think, from a pretty strong album. I like kind of Radioactive and Crash and Burn and Hot Shot, Black Pearl. Those are pretty strong albums, actually. So that one's my number 10, tied with, going back to the Making Magic album, Stevie. Like I said, that was the song that I forgot about, and then as I was going through my honorable mentions, I'm like, oh, there's no way I can't include Stevie. And I like it even better on the Go For What You Know live album. But even the studio one, his version is great. It's got the awesome kind of, delayed guitar patterns in the beginning, and it's just a really cool kind of ballady tune, really emotional, great guitar work. Just a great song. That's number 10 for me. So number 9, Pat's had a lot of really, really strong instrumentals over the years. None probably stronger than the ripping, almost like speed metal track Hammerhead from the Heat in the Streets album. That is crazy, right? Those flailing drums, and just heavy guitar, and just a kick-ass tune. If you haven't heard Hammerhead, man, that is, Pat was never really like a heavy metal guy, but that's probably as close to metal as Pat ever got. And he said, you know what, we're ditching the vocals here, we're just going to rip, and rip they do. So that's number 9. Coming in at number 8, how about the title track to Making Magic? Great song, great album, fast and furious tune. What I always loved about Pat's music, there's always a lot of kind of like funk going on underneath, It's like Pat Travers could play the hard rock, could do the blues, could do some pop stuff, and he did, but there was always kind of like this kind of underlying funk element going on in a lot of his music in the 70s. And I really like that tune a lot, and that's a perfect example one. How about for number 7? How about the title track to Heat in the Street? Another good, energetic, hard rocker, right? And I will throw it out there right now that a lot of the tunes that I'm going to be picking here also appeared on that classic live album. I probably like the live versions a little bit better because that's just an amazing live album, and the performances are so energetic. But the studio versions are awesome too. They're just kicked up a notch a little bit on the live album, and it helps when you got Pat Thrall next to you, right? If you're Pat Travers, pick a guy like Pat Thrall. What a great guitar team they were! One of the most unsung of the great guitar duos in hard rock history, right? So number 7, Heat in the Street. So how about for number 6, from the Putting It Straight album, the kickoff track, Life in London. Great riff in that tune, right? Just a really cool tune. It's like the Pat Travers style. There's really nobody like him. You know, you look at some of those guitar heroes from the 70s. You know, Nugent and Travers and Trower and Marino and all those guys. They all have very distinctive styles, and the music of Pat Travers is unlike anything else. Life in London, great tune. Coming in at number 5 from the first album, self-titled Pat Travers album. How about Makes No Difference? And again, even better on the live album, but it's a great tune nonetheless. Okay. Coming in at number 4, another tune that is spectacular on the live album, but still great on the album that it debuted. From the Making Magic album, how about Hooked on Music? Great tune. Again, the groove in these songs is undeniable. Loved Hooked on Music. That's got a great vocal, too. Great vocal melody. All right, so my top 3 are absolute barn burners, all right? Coming in at number 3, from Putting It Straight, Getting Better. Getting better, better all the time. I mean, it's fantastic. Love that little kind of hook right there. It's just awesome stuff. And again, on the live album, woo, amazing. Coming in at number 2, my number 1 and number 2 could probably flip-flop at any given time. But with number 2, I'm going to go to the Crash and Burn album for the incendiary Snortin' Whiskey. Probably one of Pat's heaviest tunes ever. Snorting whiskey, drinking cocaine. Great tune. The guitar work on that is just spectacular. Man, Thrall and Travers doing their thing. Woo! Fantastic. And coming in at number 1, we're going to go back to the Heat in the Street album. Go All Night. And again, those kind of weaving, interlocking guitars. And again, I'm going to use the live version. Okay, it's just, man, those two guys working so great together, and that album just brings the funk and the groove, but it's heavy. It's blistering guitar solos all over that track. Tricky rhythms. Mars Cowling, my God, it's just like, what a great bass player. Missed that guy. He was such a great bass player, And then you got Tommy Aldridge. Man, what a band that was. Travers, Thrall, Cowling, and Aldridge. Doesn't get much better than that. So there's my top 10. Let's go to some honorable mentions. How about back to the first album? This one sits right in the periphery of my top 10 because I love it. Stop and Smile. Really cool bluesy hard rock tune. Medley, parts 1 and 2. Killer. From Making Magic, Rock and Roll Susie. I like that a lot. Need Love. From Putting It Straight, how about Speakeasy and Running from the Future? Running from the Future is a great, great tune. From Heat in the Street, I Tried to Believe. Evie. Evie's great. It's also kind of a nickname for my wife, right? Killer's Instinct. From Crash and Burn, how about the title track? It's kind of a different tune, right? It's like a brooding, kind of like electronic-y, proggy something or other. I never knew quite how to describe the Crash and Burn tune. It's very different for Pat. Your Love Can't Be Right. That's a great tune. And you know what? Pat's version of Born Under a Bad Sign smokes. Smokes, I tell you. Materialize. Another great tune. From Radioactive, My Life is on the Line. I Just Want to Live It My Way. I Don't Want to Be Awake. An Electric Detective. All right. From Black Pearl, I love you. Great tune. I'd Rather See You Dead. I like that. They played that on the radio quite a lot when they released the Black Pearl album. I like that tune. Who'll Take the Fall and Mgwana Kick Booty. That tune kicks lots of booty. And then the last album I'm going to dive into here is Hot Shot. I Gotta Fight. Great tune. Killer. Another tune that they played on the radio briefly when that album came out. Just Try Talking to Those Dudes. Pretty cool, fun tune. And how about the title track, Hot Shot? All right, but again, don't stop there with Pat Travers. He's got a shitload more albums than the ones I just mentioned. So you got actually a couple of really good albums at the beginning of the 90s. He's got some pretty ripping blues albums. And like I said, check out that stuff he did with Carmine Appice. Those are pretty strong too. So let's recap my top 10, starting at the beginning. All right, Go All Night from Heat in the Street, number 1. Number 2, Snortin' Whiskey. Number 3, Getting Better. Number 4, Hooked on Music. Number 5, It Makes No Difference. Number 6, Life in London. Number 7, Heat in the Street. Number 8, Making Magic. Number 9, Hammerhead. And a tie for number 10, New Age Music with Stevie. That is my Pat Travers Band Top 10 Songs. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're on the mighty YouTube often. Hopefully I have a couple more top 10 songs coming up over the next week or so. We've got Classic Album War coming up every day. I'm going to try and get to another questions and answers this week. I got to reconnect with my buddy to do that Nearfest memory show. Haven't forgot about that. It's just with the 4th of July holiday kind of in the middle of everything, things popped up and just kind of thwarted doing that one last week, but we'll get that reconnected in. Mike Tonelli and I are going to be doing... over the next couple weeks, Pink Floyd top 10 songs. Yeah, baby. So we got that coming up, and all sorts of good stuff. But in the meantime, go out and pull out all your Pat Travers Band albums and listen to those because they're worth it and they're amazing. And that's what I love doing. That's why I like doing these top 10 song shows because it not only makes for a good discussion, it also prompts me to go pull out all the albums and listen to them all over again. That's what this is all about, right? Getting people discussing, talking about, and listening to music. So we'll see you again real soon, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.